to my channel and to another Mommy Monday video. This video is going to be another advice video, and if you didn't see my last advice video, it was how to get your kids to eat. That's what it was. And that one was a really popular question. I asked on my Snapchat some like mommy questions that you guys might have to ask me them, and the number one question that I got was how to get your baby to sleep through the night. And I feel like we all struggle with this so much. Like every single mom on the planet is like, oh, I just want my baby to sleep through the night. And it's a struggle for us all. So I have a couple tips. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I have gotten them to sleep through the night fairly well. My first one slept through the night, I think, sooner than my second, but I do have some tips for you guys on how it worked for me, and I didn't use the cry out method. Now, there's tons and tons and tons of methods for getting your kids to sleep through the night. Crying it out is one of them, but I feel like for a lot of moms, that's like the last resort type of thing. So the tips that I'm going to give you in this video are like just the ones that really worked well for me and the ones that I feel like are beneficial. If you have any other ideas, definitely leave them in the comments below so other moms can maybe go down there, and if none of these work for them, they can get some tips from you guys down below. So my first tip is one that has worked really well for both of my girls. I use this more for my firstborn, but it is like a music maker. And this is my little seahorse, and this was Elena's seahorse first, and then it was Emery's. I just passed it along. And then my mom has one at her house for when they spend the night. And this is an amazing little toy. Now this toy, I recommend this one versus like a glowworm, or like there's a couple music maker things. This one is really good because it has a really soothing sound and really soothing music. It doesn't sound like electronic. It almost has like meditation type of music, and it goes for a really long period of time, and it's not really loud. So it's really good for bedtime. And the reason why this is so good is because it gets them on routine. It gets them like realizing like, oh, it's bedtime because, my music is playing and the seahorse is playing and the little belly kind of glows a little bit. And I also feel like it's good because it gets their mind off of crying, and it makes them focus on something other than like silence. You know what I mean? Like, where's my mommy? Like, where, like, I'm all by myself. You know what I mean? They just kind of lay there, they listen to their music, it's really relaxing, and then they just kind of fall asleep. Okay, so this is something that I was like a major stickler on, and I feel like it was a good thing because it really helped my kids kind of understand what bedtime was. And it was to not let them nap too late into the evening. And I know a lot of parents, at least in my kind of life, I've seen parents let their kids nap really late, and I was always like, aren't they gonna like not sleep tonight? Like, I never understood when parents let their kids nap really late. And usually I had like a strict time that worked well for my kids. Like, they're not gonna nap past 5, or they're not gonna nap past 6, and then their bedtime was like 8:30 or 8 or 9, whatever your bedtime is. You kind of have to figure out what your baby can handle, like what a good time is. But I never ever let my baby nap past a certain time, and that really helped a lot. My kids were sleepers, like they napped all the time, and I just had to kind of make sure I was playing with them and keeping them engaged past that nap time, and that usually helped them fall asleep at night, and then kind of got them into that routine of when bedtime is, and they kind of felt tired, so it wasn't like a hassle trying to get them to go to sleep. Another thing is to assign a security toy or like a security blanket, so like their special thing. My mom gives all of her grandbabies these certain blankets. They're called little giraffe blankets, and I made sure that those were the blankets that they were gonna have as their like security toy, and now they're still obsessed with them. They're like their blankies, and so they know when they have their blankie that it's bedtime. My youngest also has a pacifier, which is her kind of thing. Like, she knows when she goes to bed, she gets her Paci and her blankie. So that works really well, and it also works well for like a stuffed animal or something like that. So that's a really good tip. Another good tip is books. Now, books are something that I've done with my kids every single night ever since they were like little tiny babies. And even if they can't understand you, or they don't even know like what is going on, sometimes just having that routine, like them seeing the pictures and them sitting on mommy's lap with their blankie and having this book right there, they kind of know that that is the time that is like bedtime, and my kids still love books before bed. Like my 4-year-old, we read books every single night before bed. My 2-year-old's the same way, and they just know it as bedtime. Like, go pick out your book, you know, we brush their teeth, and it's just part of the routine, and they always say to like keep the routine very similar every single night. So this is a really good one, and this is one that I really practiced when I was nursing in the middle of the night, and it's not to turn on the lights. And if you can, find like a little tiny baby lamp that's like really dim, like as dim as you possibly can find, and use that for your light in the room. I actually didn't even turn on the lights in the room. I used like the hall lights, and that gave me enough light in the bedroom to do whatever I need to do, you know, nurse or whatever. And I feel like that helped a lot because it kept them really quiet, it didn't wake them up too much, and they could easily fall back to sleep. So this next one is something that I think some moms are going to disagree with me on. I've had, Mommy Monday videos are kind of hard because everyone has their really, you know, strong opinions and they are not afraid to say them. But this is just something that I personally think is fine, and I think it really helped me out when it was in the middle of the night and keeping them like asleep and keeping them drowsy. And it's to not change every single diaper in the middle of the night. And I did this with Elena at first, and I was like changing her every single time that she would need to be fed, and it would wake her up a ton. And a lot of times I noticed that she wasn't even that wet. Like, it was like the tiniest little pee ever in there, and I was like, I feel like I'm just waking her up and she's getting like wide awake. And one thing that you really have to remember though, if you are going to do this, is to put like butt paste or like a diaper rash cream on their little butts before they go to bed. That way there's a little bit of protectant there while they're sleeping. But if they have like no pee or like really little pee in their diaper, you don't need to change them every single time. I mean, of course, if their diaper is like full or they have like poopy in their diaper, like of course you want to change those, but you don't have to change all of the diapers. You just want them to kind of know like this is, you know, sleep time. You can nurse a little bit, but you know, you don't have to do the whole shebang every single time they wake up, because I definitely did that with Elena and I learned my lesson, and I didn't do it as much with Emery. So this is one that's really important. I felt like I was actually really good at this, and I think this is why my kids put themselves to sleep so well, is because I never rocked them to sleep. And this is just something that was natural to me. Like some moms, I feel like rock their babies until they're out cold and then they put them in their crib. I never really did that with my kids. I'd usually nurse them so they were like pretty drowsy, but they weren't like knocked out cold, and then I'd swaddle them up and then put them in their crib, and they'd usually fall asleep on their own. So it's a really good thing to practice when they're really, really young babies, is to put them in their crib when they're still slightly awake. And I feel like this is like key, because I definitely did this, and I feel like my kids can put themselves to sleep really easy, and they've never had any problems like me leaving the room and them crying or anything like that. So as long as you start them young doing that, they kind of just grow older, kind of understanding the idea of, okay, I'm in my crib now and I'm gonna go to sleep. So this is something that is good, but at the same time, it's been a little hard. So with Emery, we put a fan in her room early on just because it got really hot in her room, but I feel like it really helped her sleep because of the white noise. Now I know a lot of you guys are going to agree with me that fans are really, really relaxing, and I cannot sleep without a fan in my room. Like, we go on vacations and I cannot sleep in the hotel unless there's a fan, and I feel like Emery has kind of gotten that too, because when we go to hotels, I feel like she's like, it's way too quiet in here. But I do feel like fans help a lot, because a lot of times babies, or at least babies that are like 1.5, wake up at like every single noise. And so the fan drowns out all those little noises, like if you and your husband are talking or whatever, like they don't wake up as easy with those little noises. So fans are really, really good, especially if your baby is a really light sleeper. Okay, so these are a couple pieces of advice for older kids, because Emery, she did really good for a long time. She slept through the night, and then she started waking up again. And we were like, what is going on? Like, why is she waking up in the middle of the night? And so these are kind of good advice for like kids that are a little older, maybe 1.5, you know, going on 2. The first one is a Paci. Now, if your kid takes a Paci like mine does, she will not sleep without a Paci. I'm not ready to wean her yet. I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions on that, but I personally just don't feel ready to wean her yet. So I just put like 3 Pacis in her crib while she's sleeping, and when she wakes up, like a lot of times I'll let her like cry for, you know, 15 seconds, and 15 seconds later she'll end up finding a Paci and she'll go back to sleep. Like, the only reason she woke up is because she's looking for one. And before, I would have to like go all the way in there, search around her crib for a Paci, and then put it back in her mouth. But now she can do it herself because there's like 3 Pacis in there. Another tip is to put like a little tiny night light in there so they can actually see a little bit. With Emery, we didn't have a night light in there at all, so when she would wake up, she couldn't see anything. She couldn't see in her crib, she couldn't see where any Pacis were, so we ended up getting this little frozen night light. It puts like Elsa and Anna on the ceiling, and it helped a lot for her to be able to wake up and be able to see a little bit so she could actually find her Pacis or whatever. Another tip too is water bottles. She was getting thirsty in the middle of the night, so I just got one of those non-leaking water bottles. I put it in the corner of her crib. Now when she wakes up, a lot of times in the morning, the water bottle is completely empty and she has drinking it all throughout the night, so she knows it's there now, and so she doesn't wake up asking me for water anymore because she's kind of started to understand that there's water in her crib and she knows where to find it and stuff like that, so now we don't have to get up for that reason either. Now, if you're trying to stop breastfeeding in the middle of the night, this is a hard one, guys. Like, ugh, it's hard because they want to feed, they're used to it. What I did with Emery is I would, instead of breastfeeding her in the middle of the night, I would get her out of her crib and I'd lay her as if she was breastfeeding, but I would give her water. And soon she started to understand that it wasn't like breast milk, it was just water. And then that really easily weaned her off of nursing in the middle of the night, just giving her water. And then after a while, I'd just kind of sit her up and give her water, and then I would maybe just give her water in her crib. And then eventually she started to understand that she wasn't actually breastfeeding, it was just water. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of slowly taking those steps. So those are my tips for you guys. I hope they were helpful. If you guys have any other tips, please put them in the lower bar because I'm sure people would love to hear your guys' tips for, you know, how to get your baby to sleep, because everyone has their own ideas. So yeah, I think that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Mommy Monday video. I'm gonna put the Mommy Monday playlist down below so you guys can, you know, see everything else that I've done in this series. You guys can check out my last video, or my last advice video is how to get your kids to eat and all that good stuff. And at the end of this video, I'll also link my last Mommy Monday video so you guys can watch that. I'm like stumbling over my words. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!